Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sport here on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of the program. We saw actions in the UEFA Champions League Tuesday and Wednesday night, and for that of Wednesday night is more interesting. I'm more happy about, should I say I'm more happy? No, okay, I'm just happy for everything I saw because on Tuesday, we saw Victor Osimhen contributing to the 5-2 victory his team won against Juventus. And yesterday, Atlético Madrid versus Club Brugge, both Nigerian players scoring for their side. I think I'm more excited for Rafael Onyedika, who scores his first goal for his team against Atlético Madrid, and that happened in the UEFA Champions League. What a way to get the first goal for club side, and that is interesting to see. So on the local scene here in Nigeria, Niger Delta Games begins today officially as individuals. Rather, today is the 19th day of February. Arrivals starts today at the Niger Delta Games, and Benin City have said they are all ready to host the best second edition of the regional games. And something again happened. We saw in Ilorin where the Rivers United took on Kwara United took on Rivers United, and the game settled for a 1-1 draw, and later on violence erupted, and the management of Kwara United have reacted to it, saying that they are going to sue and also try to apprehend those that were behind the violence that erupted immediately after the game. This match that was played was earlier postponed because Rivers United were busy playing in the CAF. So we'll have that conversation as well, and then we'll also talk Arsenal. Arsenal is now looking like the normal Arsenal that we used to know, giving away points. This is the second draw that they're having in their last two games, and they still have other big teams to face. They have teams like Tottenham, they have Chelsea, and they also have Manchester City to play. And then these other smaller teams have been giving them lots of trouble. We'll have that conversation, and then we'll see if Arsenal would actually finish up strong or finish second. We'll have that conversation as well. I won't be doing the talking alone, but I'll bring you a couple of stories before I introduce my guest who will be helping us do a lot, most literally, of this analysis. Starting off from Niger Delta Games. Niger Delta Games begin Benin ready for today's big draw. Today we'll be seeing the draw as athletes as well, and officials will be coming in, arriving. All athletes, officials, and other functionaries of the second Niger Delta Games are expected in Benin, Edo State today, even as organizers announced that the draws will hold at the Samuel Obumidiem Stadium Media Center. Fred Edor, the project director, said as much that the officials' arrival date of the state contingent and competition officials starts today. We have, according to him, he says we have everything in place to receive athletes and their coaches at the Benson Idahosa University, where hostels have been made ready for them. He reported, the report says, the Benson Idahosa University is also satisfied with facilities in the hostels, which will offer the young athletes a good experience and perhaps stimulate them to good performances. The 9 state participating states will be polled to determine the features which will schedule the 4 games for each game a day. Dunamis Icon Limited is the right owner and organizer of the Niger Delta Games, sponsored by Niger Delta Development Commission. The opening ceremony has been scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, February the 20th, and the games will run through the 27th of February. Bayelsa State emerged as champions at the first edition held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State in 2025, and Niger Delta is looking to say that no, this time around we are the stronghold of the regional games, and they are looking to take a whole charge and win this time around. So we'll see what will happen. They said the same thing last year, but it didn't turn out the way it did. So we'll see how this year will be looking for them. Moving on now, Nigeria intensifies athletic training for Commonwealth Games. Nigerians track and field athletes have stepped up preparation for their forthcoming Commonwealth Games as they enter the second week of their 6 weeks first phase camping program in Asaba Delta State. The Athletic Federation of Nigeria opened the camp last week bringing together seasoned athletes, campaigners, and promising young talent at the Stephen Keshi Stadium ahead of the Commonwealth Games scheduled for July the 23rd to the 2nd of August in Scotland. Looking at this now, according to camp updates provided by the AFN Media Department, 18 athletes and 10 officials are currently training in Asaba. Now in week 2 of the first phase, the focus has shifted from general conditioning to more event-specific drilling, with sprinters, jumpers, throwers, and hurdlers intensify their routine. AFN head coach Solomon Aliu expressed satisfaction with the progress made so far in the opening phase of the preparation. So looking at it now, everything is set to be on ground. Things are set to be on track as these individuals are getting ready to go represent Nigeria in Scotland come July 23rd. And one thing I'm very interested and very happy about is the fact that preparation started a bit earlier than what we usually see before now, because a couple of years ago, we usually see preparation starting a month, 3 weeks, at most a month or 6 weeks before the set dates. But this time around, it's different. The campaign opened last week, and it has been an interesting feat for these individuals to prepare themselves early for the matchups that they'll be embarking on later in the year. So moving on now, let's talk boxing. No UFC, then we'll talk boxing real quick. As match fight, biggest of my life. This is coming from Israel Adesanya, who hasn't been in the octagon for a while. From a two-time UFC middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya has described his upcoming fight against Joe Parfrey at the UFC Fight Night 271 scorecard settled for March the 28th as the biggest of his life, insisting the return from a year out of the octagon, feeling unstoppable. Adesanya, who enters the bout on a 3-fight losing streak, said the stake of Parfrey matchup go beyond the immediate result. He says, I will say, for me, it's not really about him. This is about me. This is the biggest fight of his life. It's the biggest fight of my life in another way, not like it is for him, but as it is for me. In his words, he said, I've been sitting at the top, still at the top, doing more than a lot of guys who are even champions. That means from this statement now, it looks as if Israel Adesanya will be going for the champion next if he gets to defeat Parfrey. The 36-year-old Nigerian-born fighter who will be the betting underdog for the first time in his professional career, said he wants to silence doubters by showcasing a side of his game fans from showcasing most of his games that his fans are yet to see. So this is interesting to see that Israel Adesanya is talking tough already, and he looks healthy. So if you've seen him of recent on social media and all, Israel Adesanya looks very healthy. And yes, Parfrey also looks healthy. Parfrey has, in his last 3 matches, he has won 2 and lost 1, and Israel Adesanya is on a losing streak. So on that note now, I think Israel Adesanya is going in for the first time in his career, in his UFC career, because we've seen him going in to his other career. He was still in the kickboxing contingent. He went in there as a underdog at some point, but before he climbed and scaled up to the ladder and then decided to join the UFC. First time in his career as a UFC fighter, going in as an underdog. So we will see what will happen. We know Israel Adesanya, he always tries and silence doubters. Maybe he will do the same again come match. So moving on now, Ajigba calls out Usyk, Fury, and Wilder. Well, Nigerian heavyweight contender Efe Ajigba has called out Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury days after brutally stopping from IBF heavyweight champions Charles Martins in the 4th round of his SOFA boxing debut in Las Vegas. Efe dropped Martins in the 3rd round with a devastating right hand before finishing the job early in the 4th, with referee Thomas Tyler waving off the contest at 1 minute and 11 seconds after a bridge of the right-left which left the American helpless on the canvas. The victory, which improved Ajigba's record to 21-1 21, meaning 21 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. All of these wins, his 21 wins, came from 15 knockouts, cemented his status as the top 10 heavyweight, and prompted the 31-year-old to demand bigger fights. A showdown with ununified champions Usyk, who holds the WBC, WBA, and IBF belts, remains a possibility, though the Ukrainian has been pursuing a voluntary defense after talks over a fight with Wilder collapsed. Wilder chose instead to face Derek Chisora on the 4th day of April 2026 in London. WBC President Mario Suleiman has since said Usyk must face interim WBC champion Eget Galba after this voluntary defense, which could further complicate Ajiba's push for a title shot. So we will see how all of this will pan out for these said individuals as they are getting ready to fight. And this is a Nigerian who has been doing so well. The likes of Omar Gege trained him from his early 8 days as a professional boxer, and then he has scaled the ladder. So he started from Nigeria, and we're still hoping and waiting for him to get bigger, win the WBC belt, and also, you know, prove a point that he is among the top ballers in the world of boxing. Maybe we might even see a fight between him and Anthony Joshua. You never can tell. It's the world of boxing. When the money is on the table, they jump right on it. So we'll be going on a very quick break, and then when we return back, we'll start having conversation around Remo Stars. Also, we'll talk about UEFA Champions League. We'll talk about Arsenal, and then I will introduce my guest. Stay with us, so we'll be right back after this break.
When the final whistle blows, the real conversation begins. Welcome to Talk Sports, where the games doesn't just end, they are analyzed. From football to athletics, boxing to basketball, grassroots to the global stage, every sports, every angle, every story.
We ask the tough questions, break down the tactics, and sit face to face with the voices shaping the game.
Kamada. Bade, go!
Expect insightful interviews, expert opinions, and unfiltered banter that keeps it real. This is where passion meets perspective, where facts meets fire, where fans, players, and pundits speak the same language.
Matters in sports, we talk it. Talk Sports, in-depth, interactive, unstoppable.
This runs weekdays, Mondays through Fridays, 10 a.m. and Saturdays, 2 p.m. only on Global TV, on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276.
If you're just joining, this is Talk Sport here on Global Television, and we are about to start talking football properly. Now we're done with boxing and athletics. Remo Stars in talks with Leonard. There's some questions. I saw this report, and then I was so surprised that all of that is happening. Former Manchester United star Jesse Leonard is being linked with another unlikely transfer following his exit from South Korean side Football Seoul. The 33-year-old is now a free agent and is said to be in talks with Remo Stars, but not Remo Stars, the Nigerian reigning champions Premier Football League. Instead, Leonard could be heading to South America with Club de Romeo, commonly referred to as Remo, in talks to sign him. So we're actually trying to make this clear, and I got my guest when I told him that he's in talks with Remo Stars. Joining me to have this conversation is Yusuf Mendy.
Oh, yeah, did got me. Absolutely shocked. Remo Stars.
All right.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but if just for instance now they are actually in talks with him, do you think Remo Stars can pay him, and what do you think it would be? What advantage would it be to the Nigerian professional football?
Whether they can pay him, that's another story. That's another talk for another day. But of course, if you get a player like that, someone who's played in the Premier League, someone that's well known worldwide, I mean, it would be a big thing for our league.
Manchester United fans will definitely start watching Remo Stars.
To draw attention to the league.
It will draw a lot of attention to the league. But looking at it now, Jesse Lingard has actually been a very superb and amazing player so far. So if they can actually get in talks with him, that would be good, and that would be a very good addition for this for the Nigerian Professional Football League. So now, talking Nigeria Professional Football League properly, Kwara United slams post-match violence after Rivers United clash. Kwara United FC has distanced itself from the crowd. Disturbance that followed its Nigerian Premier Football League game week 22 features against Rivers United FC in Ilorin, describing the development as pleasure over the incident. Particularly reports that Chief Oke, the chairman of the chairman in the Nigerian Premier Football League, was targeted during the unrest, which is something that we are not always supporting from here in global television when it comes to violence in sports. But this now is something the NFF really needs to look at. WFF will jump on this and also give them the sanctions that they deserve. But Yusuf, looking at this now and seeing all this chaos happening with, and I'm sure that this will be one of the concerns that they'll raise. They'll be like, if you go there now, there's always violence. So tell us how you feel this has been affecting the league.
Of course, that's affected in a very negative way. I mean, it is a shame that in 2026, we're still talking about violence in the Nigerian Professional Football League. This has been happening since I was young. You know, this is a league where sometimes
this is our own Premier League.
Yes. Many times we've seen issues where even an away side goes and gets a victory against the home side, and all of a sudden the fans go crazy. You know, it's a very shameful thing.
Last year,
I really feel. Personally, I feel that the authorities aren't doing enough. Okay, I mean, you can't have 2-3 policemen and the whole stadium containing a large crowd. And of course, I really want to see more sanctions from the NFF and the Football League management, because I think if heavy sanctions are put in place, maybe teams will be behaving like this.
Okay, yeah. If you're talking about sanctions, I agree with you. Like, having a few police officers in the stadium is not just enough for a game, because it's a stadium. Most of the stadiums carry hundreds of people, up to 1,000, 2,000, 800 people. So you can't just have a few police officers to just be on the ground there. And if you're talking about sanctions, the NFF just Remo Stars suffered a couple too. And some other teams, Kano Pillars, also suffered a couple to not playing their home games at home, and also paying a sanction fee up to about 10 million naira. If a couple of weeks ago we saw that happening, and this is just something that is affecting the league. If, for instance, like we mentioned jokingly, that a player like Jesse Lingard is trying to come to play in the Nigeria Professional Football League, and something like this always happen, obviously he's going to consider his safety and not want to participate in the Nigeria Professional Football League, which is also going to hamper and then make other players as well not want to come and participate as well. So all of these things now are just so disturbing. But what can be done now? You said sanctions should be imposed. The NFF imposed sanctions a couple of weeks ago against some teams, and then what other kind of sanctions do you think? Do you think points deduction should be included, aside from just having them not play their home games in their home state?
Well, of course, I think that should be the next step. If you see, of course, if after banning fans from coming to the stadium and you see situations don't change, then why not deduct points? Because this shouldn't be happening in 2026. It has no place in football. It has no place in sports as a whole. This should not be happening. And I think the NFF really needs, to put his feet on the ground and say, look, hey, this has gone on for a long time, and this shameful act should not continue. I really want to see heavy sanctions for things like this. Hopefully,
we will get to see those heavy sanctions that will require them paying reasonable amount of monies, points deduction, and maybe, yes, shipping them off somewhere else to go play their match, which will still cost them more money. So moving on now, all 2026 World Cup matches tickets sold out. This is coming from the desk of the FIFA president, Infantino. All 104 matches of the 2026 World Cup will be sold out. FIFA president Infantino said even though tickets are still available ahead of the tournament for June the 11th kick-off, the demand is there. Every match is sold out, Infantino says. Infantino, in an interview from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, says that there had been 508 million ticket requests in the last 4 weeks for some 7 million available tickets. He said requests during the main sales phase in January came from more than 200 countries. Infantino estimated that the first 48 team World Cup would bring FIFA some $11 billion or more in revenue, adding that every dollar will be reinvested in football in FIFA's 211 member countries. He put the World Cup's impact on the US economy at around $30 billion in terms of tourism, catering, security, investment, and so on. Infantino estimated that the addition to 7 million spectators, the World Cup would also attract 20 to 30 million tourists and create 185 million full-time jobs. It's a big impact, he says. I hope this impact will not just be limited to World Cup, but to the future as well. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like you see, there's something I've always said about, sport and job creation. You can't have sport and not have job creation. Imagine how much now that will be going into the United States GDP, right? The growth, and then look at the numbers that that will be made from just World Cup. This is an event that will take less than a month. At most it's going to take less than a month. It's going to take about 6 weeks thereabout, and everything will be done. And look at the money that will be generated. And we here in Nigeria Professional Football League, we are having people fight after a match when people should be thinking of how to improve the standard of Nigerian football. So this is just not so. It's not just so nice, and it's disturbing. So the bodies in charge should do what they need to do. These numbers are very good numbers. Infrastructural development needs to come into place so as we will see Nigeria hosting events and also bettering the economy and creating jobs for the citizens. So the government needs to do more in terms of infrastructural development for sports. Private partnerships too are also advised to get into the business of sports. There is a whole lot of money in sports generally. So whichever one it is, basketball, football, rugby, boxing, UFC, kickboxing, whatever, there's a lot of resources there, and it's going to help boost any country's GDP, in terms of taxes, businesses, mostly trade, really. So seeing all of this now and hoping to see that these individuals get themselves involved is going to help boost and create a lot of jobs for people in Nigeria. So moving on now, let's talk EPL. We'll have this conversation quickly. EPL, Arsenal blow 2 goals lead as 20th place Wolves rally 2-2 late draw. Arsenal saw a 2-goal lead slip away in their dramatic 2-2 draw at the Molex Stadium after dominating much of the match. Bukayo Saka opened the scoring earlier, ending a personal 15-game goal drought, and Pearl handicaps double Arsenal's lead, but the Wolves fought back through a superb Honjo Bruno strike and a late on goal resulting from a mix-up in Arsenal defense to level the score. The result means Arsenal dropped crucial point in the title race and hand Manchester City a possible lifeline for the Premier League lead. The night also brought a worry for Arsenal fans as Saka had to be substituted due to a hip injury after his early goal, adding to fitness concerns during his pivotal part of the season. So looking at this now, we'll take a very quick look at this highlight, and when we come back, Yusuf, we are going to have a couple of analysis around this, and then we'll talk UEFA Champions League